North Korea launching its fourth missile test in less than 2 weeks, just as South Korea begins joint military drills with the U.S. Joining us now is Jon Hanna, former National Security Advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney. Good morning to you, John. Appreciate you coming on this morning. So what can you tell us about this latest round of testing and what we should take away from it?
Hi, Sandra. Listen, the trend lines, I think, are very worrisome. We went almost 18 months after November 2017 with not a single missile test launch by the North Koreans. But now, in just the last 3 months, we've had, at my count, something like 7 of these rounds of launches of a new advanced short-range system capable of carrying nuclear weapons that can very accurately strike targets throughout South Korea, including military bases where the United States has something like 28,000 of our servicemen deployed. So this is a escalating threat. It's an increasing threat that I think we're getting time where the United States probably needs to think about responding, even though, as John Bolton has said, these do not seem to violate the Kim Jong-un's promise to the president not to test long-range missiles capable of hitting America.
Because that is the stance of the administration. John Bolton, we've heard similarly from the president himself. He tweeted this back on, I believe, August 2nd on Kim Jong-un. Chairman Kim does not want to disappoint me with a violation of trust. There's far too much for North Korea to gain. He will do the right thing because he is far too smart not to. So if it's up to them, the president, John Bolton, Kim Jong-un is not violating his promise not to test these long-range missiles.
He's not violating that promise, but each one of these launches is a brazen and blatant violation of UN resolutions prohibiting any kind of development or testing of missiles by North Korea. They also pose an increasing military threat to our best allies in Asia, as well as U.S. servicemen throughout the Asia-Pacific region. And therefore, I don't think we can simply stand by and say, as long as you don't test nukes or launch long-range missiles capable of hitting the United States, you have impunity, Kim Jong-un, to do anything else you want, including, I should say, even though we've had this wonderful bromance between the president and Kim Jong-un, our intelligence now estimates that throughout the last year, North Korea has added an additional 6 to 12 nuclear weapons to their arsenal. The threat is growing to the United States, and we are as far away as we've ever been from a serious negotiation that actually leads to the denuclearization of North Korea.
How could the president respond to send a message to Chairman Kim? What should we do next?
I think at a minimum, the president has got to change his messaging. It cannot be that as long as you don't threaten the United States directly with a long-range missile, you can do anything you want to threaten our allies and our service members in that region. So the obvious thing to do would be to start a discussion in the United Nations, perhaps some kind of new sanctions and condemnation of these tests to let Kim Jong-un know that there will be at least some price to pay for this kind of violation of international norms.
John, I want to get this breaking news into you because this is just coming into us now, that formally we've received notice that Jon Huntsman is resigning as the ambassador to Russia. He's resigning to return to Utah for a possible run for governor there. So he's reportedly mulling another run for governor. But the news, Jon Huntsman, the U.S. ambassador to Russia, is resigning. I want to get your response while this news comes in.
Well, I think the only thing I would say is it's obviously throughout Ambassador Huntsman's tenure in Moscow, it has been a very, very difficult time in U.S.-Russian relations. I'm not sure that there's anything anybody could have done about it, given where we started with the elections of 2016 and how absolutely polarizing the Russian issue has been. But I would say it's imperative that the Congress and the President act fairly quickly to get somebody over to Moscow who has the trust and authority of the President of the United States, who can keep this relationship between the world's two greatest nuclear powers as stable as possible.
All right. It is an important relationship indeed, and Huntsman has sent formally that resignation letter to the President as of this morning. He says he wants to reconnect with growing family and responsibilities back at home. Jon Hanna, appreciate your time this morning, and thank you for responding to that breaking news.